Hey there, and congratulations on your new job at a school district here in Washington State. My name is Ethan Meikle. I'm the co-founder of Scenic Financial, and I specialize in helping school district employees in Washington State live better financial lives. And I'm also the NEA retirement specialist for Yakima County. So I'm here to make this quick presentation to walk you through your retirement benefits so you can make some educated decisions. And remember that you only have 90 days to make a choice in your retirement plan before you're locked into it forever. So take the time, go through this video and learn about your plan so you can make an educated decision. And if you have any questions on anything, feel free to reach out or drop a comment below, and I'd be happy to help you guys out. All right, so this video is going to be geared towards people that are brand new hires to the school district. If you're hired prior to this school year, then you'll still find some value in this video, but many of the information is going to be geared just for the new teachers, as there's been a few rule changes this summer. So this video I'm going to cover a couple of things. First is your student loan forgiveness, then we'll dive into Plan 2, Plan 3, and then you can check out a couple of savings options you have available in your school districts. So when it comes to student loan forgiveness, it's important that it only applies to federal student loans. If you have a private student loan, it's not going to count. It has to be federal to be eligible for loan forgiveness. There are 3 different types of plans out there. Each plan is going to have different criteria that must be met. Some require 5 years of working, some require 10, some require you to teach, math or science or something like that, or work in like a low poverty school district. So it's going to kind of depend on that. And every payment you make, you have to make sure that it counts as qualified. Many times people just pay each year and think they're all going to count, and it's not the case. Sometimes you have to turn in an application to renew your loan forgiveness. So it depends on the program that you're in. So that's something you want to keep track of when you're pursuing loan forgiveness. Now, one quick and easy way for you guys to learn more about student loan forgiveness and which ones you can qualify for is, first thing, become a member of your union. Join the NEA or WEA. They're one and the same. And what that does is gives you a whole slew of benefits, as you can see on the screen here. Travel benefits, online shopping, auto purchasing programs, home buying, loans, credit cards, all kinds of stuff. So the one we're going to look at here is you're going to go to student loan forgiveness. So once you click on that tab there, it'll pop you up into this thing called the NEA Student Loan Forgiveness Navigator powered by Savvy. Now, Savvy is an independent firm that specializes in helping students get loan forgiveness. Now, this program is free to use as a member of the union. You can go into the software and it can basically help you determine what loan forgiveness program is going to be right for you. You also have the option to go one step further with this plan, is that you can actually pay them about $30 for the year to file everything electronically, and it'll be reviewed by one of their experts to make sure it's filed accurately, so all your payments will count as qualified. And that's really going to help you get that forgiveness much, much faster than doing it on your own and possibly missing certain deadlines or just forgetting about it. So it's something I encourage you guys to do. Now, the NEA is actually waiving the cost of this service for the first year. So go ahead, become a member, sign up for Savvy. The first year is on the NEA. If you like it past that, then you can stay on it. It's only about $30 a year. Now, when you're going through this, make sure you just have your most recent tax return and your student login information. And you can call them directly if you have any questions. Now, when it comes to choosing your plan, this year, Plan 2 has become the default pension plan. So if you don't decide on which plan you want in the next 90 days or you totally forget about it, you're going to be put onto Plan 2. So what is Plan 2? Plan 2 is a straightforward pension plan. They're going to give you 2% for every year you work in a school district in Washington State, and they will base that total percentage on the average of your top 5 years of income. All right, so let's break this down a little bit. So for example, if you work 10 years in a school district, 10 times 2 would be 20%. You get 20% of your top 5 years of income, so on and so forth. They do not cap the number of years you can work. So there's people that work 30 or 35, even 40 years, and they'll be getting 60, 75, 80% of their income guaranteed for the rest of their life. Now, when it comes to top 5 consecutive years of service, they do have to be consecutive, so in order, and the state will calculate all that for you. Now, these top 5 years, it doesn't have to be your last 5 years. So if you read any handbook from the state or attend one of their webinars, they'll tell you it's your AFC, average final compensation. I don't know why they call it that. If you read the definition of it, it's your top 5 years, no matter where they are in your career. So if you become a principal, for example, for 5 years and then go back to the classroom, it's likely that your principal pay is going to be your highest in your career, and that's what they're going to use to base your pension plan off of. It also means if you decide to work less in the future or go to part-time, It's not going to hurt your pension. It also counts any money you make above and beyond your base salary. So any kind of extra paydays you get, if you become a coach, if you're nationally board certified, you go and teach summer school, all that pay will count when they do your pension calculation in the future. Now you're able to collect your full benefits at age 65 only. People that are hired prior to 2013 are able to possibly collect it earlier if they meet certain circumstances, but for you guys, it's age 65 only. So that's what you guys need to know. There is a penalty if you want to collect it early. So if you say, hey, I'm 63, give me my pension, you can do that, but they're going to ding you for it. If you have at least 30 years of work, the penalty gets reduced. So it's about 5% per year if you have at least 30 years of work, and it's upwards of 8 to 10% per year if you don't. So it's important to consider those before taking any kind of pensions early. I know it's probably a long ways away, but just things to know. Now the pension does rise in the future between 0 and 3%, so this applies when you actually start collecting the pension. It will rise to keep up with inflation. And there is a couple of survivorship options. So the formula you see on the top of the screen, that's what they call option 1. That's your full benefit. If you guys have a spouse when you retire and you want them to continue receiving your pension in case something happens to you, then you can select one of the survivorship options and it will reduce your pension formula. So nothing you have to worry about now. It's something you elect at the time. Now in Plan 2, you do have to pay for this plan. So right now it's about 8% per year that you'll contribute into Plan 2. And it could rise in the future. But don't let that scare you, because only paying 8% and they're going to give you 2% for every year you work is a pretty good deal in my opinion. So for example, if your top 5 years of income was say $100,000 and you worked just 30 years in the school district, you'd get 60% of $100,000 or $60,000 guaranteed for the rest of your life. If all you have to pay was 8, 10, or even 15% for that benefit, it'd be well worth it. Now moving on to Plan 3. Plan 3 is a two-part plan. The first part, known as the defined benefit, is just a fancy word for pension. They're going to give you 1% instead of 2% for every year that you work, and it's still based on the average of your top 5 years of income. So everything I said about Plan 2 is true for Plan 3. It's just half as much. You only get 1%. There's still no cap on the years worked. It counts your top 5 years as long as they're consecutive, no matter where they are in your career. And they include all the income you get above and beyond your base pay. You're able to collect your full benefits at age 65. The penalties apply if you're going to collect your pension earlier than age 65. And if you have at least 30 years of working, the penalty will be reduced. You still have that cost of living adjustment that applies when you start collecting your benefits, anywhere from 0 to 3%. And you still have those 4 different survivorship options and how you want to take your benefit. Now for this plan, you actually don't contribute any money into. This is a free benefit from the state. Your money is going to go into the second part that we'll cover right now. So you have this thing called a defined contribution. It's really just a savings account, kind of like a 401k. This is where your contributions go into. It's a mandatory contribution, but you can elect between 5 to 15% that you want to go into this plan. Keep in mind that whatever you elect is going to be locked in for as long as you're at that school district. So if you decide to do 10% and then next year you said I want to go up to 15, you can't do that. Whatever you elect today is locked in until you move school districts. Then you'll have another 90-day window to make a change. Now all that money basically gets put into an investment account and it's going to rise and fall with the stock market, really depending on how it does. All the money here is absolutely hands off until separation of service. So you can't touch the money for any reason. You can't take loans from it, you can't take a hardship withdrawals, nothing. You can't, until you tell the state that you're no longer working for them, you're not allowed to touch your own money. Also, all the contributions are done on a pre-tax contribution basis only. What that means is you're going to put money in without paying taxes on them. So it's going to help to lower your taxes. So for example, if you made $50,000 in a year and you put $5,000 into your Plan 3, you'd be taxed on $45,000 of income, not the full $50,000. So pre-tax contributions help to lower your taxes now. Keep in mind though that you are going to have to pay taxes on all that money plus all of its earnings in the future at whatever tax rates are in the future. So keep that in mind, that your account value in the future is probably going to be a lot bigger, and depending on where taxes are in the future, you may end up owing more taxes down the road. Now, all the money gets defaulted into a target date fund. A target date fund is simply an investment fund that's kind of pre-done for you, and it's going to be tied to the closest date that you turn 65. So for example, if you're turning 65 this year, you'd be in target date 2020. If you were going to turn 65 in 2040, you'd be in target date 2040. So they'll go ahead and do that for you, nothing you have to worry about. However, if you want to be more hands-on, you can enroll in something called self-directed, and that's where you can actually pick and choose your different funds. So there's 7 funds available that you can choose from, and you can move in and out of them as you wish. And then you have the other targeted funds you can pick and choose from as well. So there's not a whole lot of options out there, but you do have some room to play around with the market if you want to. All right, now I'm going to give you a visual representation. So this is just a quick graph. So if your age is on the bottom axis, income's up here. As we work our way up the pay scale, our income slowly increases each year. And then we're going to hit a key age. For us, it's age 65. For people before you, it may be 62. But whenever you hit your full pension age, that's when your pension's eligible to start in full. And then you also get Social Security on top of that. And then what that leaves you is a drop in income, or what we call a shortfall or a gap. So the whole reason we tell you to save for retirement is to help build up for this shortfall in the future. Everybody has it. So if you want to make more money in your retirement years, you have to take a little bit of sacrifice and save now. Now you can do this through a few different ways. The Plan 3 bucket is already built in for that purpose. The Dcp plan, you also have a 403b plan available from your school district, and you can also save privately into something like a Roth IRA. Now let's break down what those are. The Dcp also stands for Deferred Compensation Plan. It's a flexible fund, so you can start, stop, increase, decrease anytime you want to. It's totally hands-off until you separate service, just like Plan 3. You have no access until you separate service. There's no 10% penalty, so if you wanted to retire early and take money out before age 55, then the 10% penalty would be waived. For most teachers, it's not going to matter. There's also no income limit, so it doesn't matter what you or your spouse make. You can always use the Dcp plan. This one also only allows pre-tax contributions and has the same investments as Plan 3. Really, when you break it down, the Dcp is basically the same thing as the defined contribution in Plan 3. They just kind of bundle it up and allow people to enroll separately into it. So if you're on Plan 3 and you have a Dcp, you're really putting money in the same place. There's still no access to it, and it's pre-tax contributions only. So it may not be the best combination if you want some more diversification and control over your money. There's also no professional oversight. So there's no professionals that work for the state that's going to look over it and call you if something goes south or tell you maybe you should change your investment allocations. It's none of that. You're controlling your money completely here, and your money's going to be at risk depending on what you decide to do with it. You can contribute up to $19,500 per year into the plan. If you're under age 50, for those over age 50, you can do up to $26,000. Then you have something called a Roth IRA. These are an individual retirement account. Now these plans do not get opened up with your school district. This is if you want to save privately on your own. So these things are also flexible, start, stop, increase, decrease anytime you want to. You have full access at age 59 and a half. So what that means is even though you're working at age, say, 60 or 62, you can start pulling money out of your Roth. You can't do that in Plan 3, and you can't do that in your Dcp. Remember, you have to be separated. So that's a key benefit of having the Roth. Now this plan is different in the fact that it's after-tax contributions only. So in other words, you're paying taxes on the money now, and in the future it's going to grow tax-free. So this has no benefit tax-wise for you today, but it's going to benefit you in the future when you can retire and pull the money out without owing taxes then. This one does have income limitations. It's $196,000 for married couples, $124,000 if you're single. So if you make over that, you can't use a Roth IRA. You can contribute only up to $6,000 or $500 a month for people under age 50, and up to $7,000 for people over age 50. And the range of investments, again, is going to depend on who you select as your provider. So it's something to keep in mind before just opening one up. And then everybody has an option called a 403b, or otherwise known as a TSA plan, available. These are basically your 401ks. So it's sponsored by a school district. You're able to start, stop, increase, and decrease anytime you want to. You're limited to $19,500 or $26,000 depending on your age. and there's no income limits. So no matter what you make, you can always use one. The key benefit of the 403b is right here, the access. So you actually start drawing money at age 55 if you're separated, and if you're not, age 59 and a half. So remember, Plan 3 and DCP don't let you do that. The 403b does. You can be 60 or 61 and have access to your money should you need it. The other benefits this thing has is it does allow for loans and hardship withdrawals. So if you want access to your money before you hit age 55 or 59, these are the ways you do it. A loan is you borrowing money from yourself. I know it sounds kind of funny, but that's how it works. You're going to take money out from yourself and you will be charged an interest rate. However, the interest rate gets paid back to you. So when you make your payment back into your account, you're paying back your principal plus interest, and it all goes back to you. It's not going anywhere else. So it's kind of a smart strategy to use if you're trying to pay off some other high interest debt. Other things available is the hardship withdrawals. Those ones do have to be approved before you can take one out. So you do have to show proof of why you're going to use it. Some reasons why you could use one is for medical bills, payments on a primary residence, or perhaps you need to make repairs to your house due to some kind of storm that wasn't covered by your homeowner's insurance. Just different things like that. That's all covered under the hardship withdrawal provision. So when it comes to how taxes work in this plan, you have the option to choose either pre-tax or Roth contributions, or you could do both. It just depends on what your school district allows. Every one of them is going to allow pre-tax. Only a few of them actually allow Roth contributions. So what this means is it works just like your DCP in Plan 3 if you do it on a pre-tax basis. If you do it on a Roth basis, it's like a Roth Ira on steroids. You can save 3 times as much money into these plans. You have access earlier due to those loans and hardship provisions, and there's no income limits. So this one is a great tool that a lot of people utilize. However, not very many people know about it. And all the money in this plan grows tax deferred. So each year it's just going to grow. You're not going to get any kind of tax statement for them because there's no taxes due yet. As far as the investments go in these plans, there's going to be a wide range, but it kind of depends on who you select to have your account with. There's a whole bunch of different companies you can choose from. Not all are great. In fact, I only personally recommend maybe 2 or 3 of them out of the 20 or 30 available. And you have the flexibility to choose how you want your money to be invested. You can be conservative, you can be aggressive, somewhere in the middle. You can kind of switch these around anytime you want to. Remember, all that money does go in the market, so it will rise and fall depending on how the markets perform. So now back to my earlier point that not all 403bs are really equal. There's kind of a big difference between them. So there's 2 types. There's annuity-based ones called TSAs, tax shelter annuities, and there's investment-based ones that work just like any account. It works just like a Roth or your Plan 3 account. So really when we break it down, these TSAs are going to be issued by an insurance company. So if you're thinking of opening up a 403b plan and it's with XYZ insurance company, chances are you're getting yourself into a TSA. Now the problem with these TSA plans is they all come with surrender schedules attached to them. So what that is once you open an account up and put money into it, that money has to stay with that company for a period of time, anywhere from 5 up to 15 years, depending on the company you select. So you can't take your money out. And if you do, so you can't take your money out before then, and if you do, there's extra penalties that apply. And these things operate on what they call a rolling surrender basis. So what that means is when I put money in January, that money has to stay there, say, for 5 years. When I contribute again in February, then that month's contribution has to stay there for another 5 years, and so on and so forth. So it's possible that these surrender charges really don't go away. Sometimes they'll drop off after you've done them for 10 or 12 years. Again, it's going to depend on the company. They also limit the funds available, so you don't get the wide range of funds. You're limited to what that insurance company told you you're allowed to choose from. Most times it's their own funds available, or the fund costs are marked up so they can get a little bit of a kickback on the back end. In total, the fees are going to be pretty high in this plan, anywhere from 2 to 3%. Sometimes they can be lower depending on what options are available, but on average, 2 to 3% is what I see people paying in these plans. Sometimes they'll come out with some that will tell you that there is no fees on them, but what they're really doing is capping your growth at 1 to 3%, or they only guarantee you a 1 or 2 or 3% gain per year. So that may not be the best option for long-term growth as well. Then when it comes to the investment-based sides, this is the side that I recommend most people stay on, just so you can retain control of your money. These ones can be issued by insurance companies, but most of them aren't going to do it this way. These plans have no surrender charges associated with them, so you can put money into them, and then if you don't like the company anymore, you can move to a different 403(b) plan, and there's no surrender charges to it. You can pull money out, there's no surrender charge to it, although there may be some taxes applied, but that's the federal government, not the 403(b) company. Now these ones are going to have a really big range of funds available to them. Again, it's going to depend on the company itself. Some of them will only let you pick from their funds. Many of them will let you select from any fund you want there, thousands and thousands of them. Typically, these ones have lower costs associated with them. Average fees run from 1.5% to 2.5%. These plans, what you're paying for is the advisor and admin costs, plus all of the costs of the funds that you select to be in. So the reason for the range in this one, it depends on how much the advisor wants to charge you and how much the investments will actually cost in total. It's possible that these plans can go over 3% as well, depending on if the advisor is charging you a hefty fee or not. So it's, again, something to look into before just blindly signing up with the first guy that knocks on your door. So if you want to enroll in one of those 403(b) plans, all you have to do is contact your payroll office to get a list of the approved vendors that you're allowed to sign up with. Now that list can range from just maybe 5 or 6 companies to 30 or 40, depending on the size of your school district, and it can be quite confusing. Then you're going to go ahead and contact one of those companies and fill out a 403 application with them. Then the next step is to turn in a salary reduction agreement to the payroll office. This is the form that tells payroll where you have an account with and how much you're wanting to put in per month. All right, hope that presentation was helpful for everybody. Remember, if you guys still need some help and want somebody to guide you through the right 403 plan to set it up, or getting you set up on a Roth IRA account, then I'd be happy to help you guys out. All you have to do is book a call with me down below. Just click on that link, it'll open up to my calendar, click the time works best for you, and I'll talk to you guys then. Thanks for watching, and remember that your future depends on what you do today.